Hello, my name is Ashante, and this is just a conversation.
Okay, question one. What is it going to take for you to stop using Pandora Music?
I love Pandora, and you know what? I have curated that, like you could press like or dislike, so it plays all the songs that I like, and I don't have to like keep flipping back and forth. I'm never going to stop using Pandora. I love it. I mean, I've upgraded to Spotify. I have Spotify too. Um, but I love Pandora. It's never going to not happen.
What was growing up like?
Man, let's see. Growing up, I moved a lot. I think like I felt like I moved every year. I grew up with a teen mom who is phenomenal, who beat all of the barriers that was in her way. And so we like moved a lot, or I went to college with her literally like at like 4, 3, and I would like sit in classes with her all the time. So I think my childhood was like really not necessarily unique because a lot of people in America experience the same things, but I got to see my mom grow up at the same time, and that helps me, now as a mom. So I loved my childhood.
Where'd you go? Can you explain your college route?
College route. So I graduated high school in 2011, and I immediately, 15 days after graduation, I was so ready to get out of Jacksonville, Florida. I was like, I have to leave the city. It's crazy. I went to Florida International University, which is located in Miami, Florida. And being the kid that was like grew up in church, I never got to go anywhere. I lost my mind. So never not getting to go out, not and then moving to such a fast, like I feel like I grew up in a fast-paced city but not a fast-paced environment. So being out on my own at 18, getting to go out all the time, and then just living there was a lot to take in. And then I got sick. I'm allergic to everything underneath the sun, and I'm allergic to the grass on campus. So I could not leave my dorm room. And I stayed in my dorm for like 3 weeks before my grandparents came and picked me up. And I went to Savannah, Georgia, which is my hometown originally. And I went to Savannah State University. And then I stopped going to classes because, you feel like you start working, you're like, oh, I don't need to do this right now. You put it off. Eventually, I moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I started going to KVCC. Um, and I graduated from KVCC in the midst of COVID. I probably wouldn't got past that little chemistry class, y'all. If I had to finish it out regular class, I did a lot of studying that last month to pass that class. And then I graduated from Western Michigan University with my bachelor's in psychology with minors in legal studies and um, legal studies and African American studies. And currently, because it's still going on, because I'm crazy, and I put myself back in school at Western Michigan University to get my master's in counseling psychology with a focus on Black therapy, well, Black and BIPOC therapy.
Why'd you go from Savannah, Georgia to Kalamazoo?
So, yeah, these questions. Honestly, I needed somewhere to go. I was in the process of breaking up with my husband at the time, and I literally looked around my house. I looked around our townhouse, and I was like, I need to leave. So I just threw everything away. I literally opened my door one day and it was like a lot of people outside, and I was like, y'all come get everything out of this apartment. And they were like, thought I was joking. And I was like, no, seriously, everything has to go. Like everything that wasn't like packed up in my kids' room. I was like, take it. I don't care what it is, take it. TVs, couches, everything has to go within the next 24 hours. And I just had like a quick sale, fire sale, what do they call it, like a fire sale.
Hmm.
And most of the time I was just like, people's like, I ain't got no money right now. We ain't think, y'all you was gonna be doing this. And I was like, okay, cool, just take it. Like, and I just drove here straight. I think it took me like 18 and a half hours, possibly. I had never driven in the snow before that. And I came 3 days before Christmas. Never driven in the snow. I was crying probably A good like 4 hours out of the trip. The last 4 hours, because I was like, I can't see anything. I feel like I'm blind. Um, it was it was a lot. And so I ended up in Kalamazoo because my parents had moved here like about like 2012, I think. And so they were like, just come here. And I think when I showed up, they didn't think I was going to be there like within 2 days, like less than 2 days of them saying like you can move here. So
What
like
was it
yeah.
like finding out that you were going to be a mom? Was that an exciting moment, a nervous
I was
moment?
in denial. And I remember exactly the day. I remember the meal. I think like my husband had like made some, and it's still so weird because I've never had like ground beef in Alfredo sauce. I don't know. He kept saying it was beef stroganoff, and I was like, I ain't never ate beef stroganoff. My mama ain't cooked that when I was growing up, and he said he ate it all the time. And he made it, and then I threw up. And he felt bad because I never like if you know me, I cook all the time. And like that's one of the things I felt like I had to do or needed to do was like I cooked every single meal, morning, breakfast, and lunch, whatever we ate. And so he was like, I want to be more helpful. And then I threw up the first meal that I won't say the first meal he cooked, but like one of the first meals, like after we had that conversation of being more helpful. And he was like, I think you're pregnant. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then he scheduled me a doctor's appointment, and I was like, I'm not going to this doctor's appointment. I'm not pregnant. And he like scheduled the doctor's appointment, went to go get like three different tests. The test came back inconclusive though. Like see, there was a little discrepancy. One said pregnant, one didn't say nothing. It was like invalid, and the other one was just like didn't work. And I was like, not pregnant. And I just even like I would think I was in disbelief. I don't think I actually said anything to anybody. So I was like 5 months because I didn't show. And I wore an apron. I was like working as a waitress and I wore an apron around my stomach all the time and I was dressed in all black. So it took some people a very long time to figure it out. Yeah. I'm still in disbelief.
What's been your favorite part?
That kid is funny. He is funny. Yeah, like when they say like your child is you just in like different forms. I don't know how he's so funny because I feel like I got a sense of humor, but like the kid is funny. I think the favorite parts is watching him learn things and like it could be something so small, but like when he figures it out, like the look on his face is like, oh my gosh, like this is a real thing. It's just like amazing, like just watching him like grow up and like I think I was sitting down the other day. He like got up to stand up and I was like, man, you're getting tall. And he was like, yep, I'm gonna be taller than you in about a year. And I'm like, okay, maybe like, man, 2.5 years. Like, don't push it, but maybe 2.5. He's definitely gonna be taller than me.
How did you start working at Isaac?
So I moved to Kalamazoo in December 2017. I think I started with Isaac maybe February 2018. My grandmother was a part of Isaac, and and I was looking for like a community service project, and she wanted to introduce me to Charlay, Dr. Davis, and she like loved Dr. Davis. I think from the time like I stepped foot in Kalamazoo, like I kept hearing her name everywhere. And so my grandmother introduced us, and I did the community service project that I wanted to do, and then I kind of just never left. It was more like I just became a involuntary volunteer. I just kept hanging around, kept saying like, "What else you need help with? Do you need help with this? Can I show up to this?" And then I just kind of stayed and just never left.
Why'd you keep showing up?
I love the work. Um, I love the mission, and I love the community. Like growing up in the church all the time. I love the faith-based community. But it was more so learning from Dr. Davis, learning from Shirley and being around her so much and seeing like it's genuine. It's not necessarily like after a time like you feel like it's not that you're volunteering. This is like this is family. When your community becomes your family, it doesn't feel like you're volunteering. It doesn't feel like you're working for them. It feels like you're doing something that you would do for one of your aunts or one of your cousins. And it just struck me as the perfect way to run an organization. Um, Everybody pitched in, everybody did their part. It wasn't this isn't my job. I don't have to do this. Like, I've never heard no one say that at Isaac. If you ask anybody at Isaac to do anything, they may say, if I don't know how to do it, I'll find somebody that does. No one has ever, it's not hostile. It never has been. It's basically like, it's like peace. And at a time where I felt like my life was in turmoil, I needed somewhere to go for just peace. And Isaac became that place.
What is your job title now?
Okay, so with Isaac, my job title is anti-racism task force lead of our anti-racism task force, and also phone banking lead, which is a co-position that I share with one of our other bros in the organization. And then also I'm the executive director for the Campaign for Criminal Justice Transparency, or known as CCJT of Kalamazoo, which is because of Isaac, actually. I was placed there because of Dr. Davis. She has so many meetings, you know. I used to joke like, you never have time to do anything. And so she put me on that meeting back in 2020, like December 2020, I believe. It was a different leads from different organizations around Kalamazoo, the NAACP, Defender's Office, Hope Through Navigation, just to name a few, TRHT, and I was just supposed to sit in on the meetings for her and like kind of report back. But I kept talking and I kind of worked myself into a co-chair position and a chair position. And now Edie got to stop talking.
Do you think you have enough on your plate right now?
I think I have like three plates sitting in front of me and I'm trying to choose which one to tackle on a Monday and which one to tackle on a Tuesday. But at the same time, I feel like if I wasn't doing these things, what would I be doing? Um, I feel like I'll just be sitting around being stagnant, and I don't like that. And I wouldn't be doing anything. I'll just be sitting in front of the TV, watching TV, which I rarely do. I usually watch like Netflix or something because I like to pause TV because I got other things to do and I can come back and pick it up, right? I don't think I would necessarily change anything. I always would want more help with certain areas, but I don't think I would really change it because they all feed into each other. And that's one thing I love about the community work that I do is every organization or anything that I'm a part of, it all feeds back into community or the main purpose that we're all doing together. So,
Do you think you found community in Kalamazoo then?
I think I have like for myself,
Hmm.
like like my own little community. I think I have. I'd have a phenomenal group of friends, which I stole from my mom. It was her friends. They are still her friends. Not like we kicked her out of the group once I came along, but I have my own little group of friends. They all started off as my mom friends, and I used to be like, I think I said aunt one day, and they looked at me. They were like, "We're not your aunt. We're your friends." And I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Okay." Like I thought I was just like the young one hanging around bothering them from time to time, but they like, no, we like they call me Sabir, which is my middle name. And they're like, no, Sabir, we really love you as a friend. And like I hang out with some of them like separately now. We all have built our own individual relationships. So I have a very strong friend group that I love.
I know you like to travel a
I
lot.
love to travel.
What's
Yes.
what's been your favorite place that you've been to so far?
I don't know because they're all different for like they would all be my favorite for like different things. I would just say, man, there's like two of them that I'm thinking of, and I can't decide. I think Thailand. Thailand was more of like a spiritual healing when I felt like did have a lot on my plate, and then I would refuse to let things go because I'm like, I need to keep doing it. And I had to realize that I needed to take a step back and I needed to set boundaries. And not setting boundaries created a lot of chaos. Um, and if you don't have boundaries from individuals or systems, it will turn your life upside down. So I'll say the trip that I took to Thailand was possibly the best. I got to sleep. And I know that sounds crazy. People are like, you went over there to sleep. I'm like, I don't care how much sleep I try to get at my own house. I never feel rested. Like I still wake up, like even today, I still woke up. It's a national holiday. It's Martin Luther King Day. Everybody's off. I still woke up at 6 a.m. just sitting there. Like it's because I know that things need to be done. But I think Thailand just gave me a sense of peace. I love learning about other people's cultures, their customs, and I got to learn a lot. I did a lot of sightseeing
What gives you that motivation to want to keep working and working so hard?
because the problems aren't fixed. So I think for me, I have a child. When I'm not here, how is the world going to look for him? You know, we we want better for ourselves always, but I think as parents, we we stop thinking about ourselves sometimes, and that's not necessarily a good thing because if we're not at peace, we can't bring peace to other people. But we understand that this isn't about us anymore. We can't just, it's not necessarily living in a moment. You have to live in a moment, but you have to see what's beyond that moment. And I think for me, like, I'm always thinking, what's next for my son? What else needs to be done? Because I never want me to not be here and his world looks worse than it was when I was here. I want it to be better.
How do you navigate through difficult situations or conflicts?
I pray. Like I said, growing up in the church, like I read the Bible a lot, but also I try to relate it back to to the things that I'm currently going through. But I have a saying with my son. We wrote it down so he could take it to school, and I put it on my desk. It's just stop, think, and breathe. Um, Like if you feel like something is not right, just stop what you're doing. Just stop. And it's literally just thinking and breathing and then, resuming what you were doing, but literally just taking like 15 seconds to say like maybe I should just stop talking. Um, you listen. And so I don't think, we always say like listen to understand, but if you're still talking and you're not listening, you can't talk and listen at the same time. Like I don't like the black church we say like we can all sing together, but we all can't talk at the same time. We can sing in harmony, we can all be in peace together, but we all can't talk. You can't, there's no way to do that. So I feel like sometimes when I'm angry or I'm upset and I feel like I may say the wrong thing, or sometimes if it's not even just that, is I could be sad or any type of emotion that isn't bringing me peace at that time. I just stop what I'm doing and I just think about it and I have to say like, what's my options? Um, I'm very big on weighing my options. Like, if I take this road, how will it go? If I take the left road, how will it go?
Is that something that you've learned later in life, or has that been natural to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
no. So you know what? I think it's always been natural, but I don't listen to myself. I give great advice. Just don't listen to myself. There's plenty of times where I think I've been like, I probably should stop and listen to myself and be like, yeah, whatever. And I just keep doing what I was doing. And where did that land me or where did that make me end up? Probably not in the best situations. Even like, those teenage years where you're arguing with your parents or something, and then you look back later, you're like, man, I really should have did this. But that's after you receive the consequences. That's after you've been on punishment. And so I think as and I say it all the time, like my kid changed my life. He changed the trajectory of what I wanted to do and who I thought I was. Um, and as he started being his own little person, because you get through the baby stage and the toddler stage, they're just angry little people at toddlers. Like they just want to eat and be mad at you. But like by kindergarten, you're like, oh, they're imitating you. They're doing the things that you do. And I'll say even at toddler age, they pick up on the things that their parents do, or whoever's in their household, right? And so I have to think like if I'm doing something, if I'm always angry, 9 times out of ten, he's gonna do the same thing. Like so being really mindful of how I present myself,
What
working on it.
goal are you working towards right now?
I don't know. It's beginning of the year. People should always have goals in the beginning of the year. But I think my goal for this one is just laying boundaries, like I said, I went to the Thailand and I started thinking about like I needed to do boundary setting. This year, I think I've started putting boundaries in place to people and they are not liking it. But that's my fault, right? Because I've created that power dynamic where even, I mean, it could be work, it could be personal relationships or whatever. Um, Trying to redo a relationship where people are already comfortable in the roles that they're in is hard. But when you have to continuously work with people or see people, um, they either have to respect your new boundaries or you have to remove yourself from a situation, but you have to know like it's going to take them time to come to terms with the boundaries that you put in place because you didn't even know your own boundaries before. So I think my overall goal of this year was to have boundaries for myself that could elevate me and that would bring I wouldn't necessarily say peace because peace starts with myself, but that would bring less chaos into my life.
What does family mean to you?
Everything. I love how my mom used to say, like, I'm not one of your little friends. She used to tell me that all the time. And then I told her the other day, I said, you're becoming like one of my little friends. She said, I should hang up on you. And I said, but you can't. Who are you going to call? My mom is absolutely my best friend. I love her. I adore her. I've learned so much from her. Like we go on trips together. We sit around the house. We watch foreign films together. Which my dad doesn't understand sometimes, but like we do everything together. I call my mom about any decision that I feel like I can't make on my own. I'm in my 30s and I'm still like, I need to call my mom. My son is everything, of course, but the rest of my family, my dad's, my pops, my sisters, everybody, siblings, like just they stabilize me. They bring me back to a place where I don't have to be the strong person. I don't have to like nobody's necessarily counting on me to do everything because we're a unit and we do things for each other. And nobody is it's it's not where somebody is expecting something from you other than love.
What's something you think people get wrong about Ashante?
I am very nice. I am a wonderful friend. I am really nice. I have like the same friends from high school to like elementary school, like my core little five people that I talk to forever. I and sometimes they have to tell me that I gotta dial it back. I think because I've it's not that I don't have a filter. I'm just very like I don't like holding things in and I don't like to ambush people with information. So I kind of sometimes just blurt it out. And they say just like how you say it is not what you say. I think and I don't it's not like I'm saying it in a mean way, but I'm like my Libra skills. I'm a Libra. I have to be balanced and they have to be like, I can't hold on to information over here and I'm down here worried about something. I just kind of tell people how it is. But I have to be mindful that everybody doesn't work on the same frequency. Everybody doesn't accept things. And it's hard for people to accept things when they may be having a horrible day. And so like the information that I have may not be received in a great way on that day. And I have to be mindful of the environment and the situation that I'm, divulging this information. And sometimes I think like in the past, like I'm just like, well, I told you, it's okay. You'll deal with it. So still learning that about myself is when and where I say things. But overall, and I could perceive, people could perceive that as me being mean. Um, I would say it's me being honest, but it's how I come about that honesty, I guess.
What would you tell your younger self?
It gets better. It gets better. You go through a lot of things in your childhood that sometimes you don't see yourself getting out of. There's been times where I hated myself, and I wouldn't say hate because it's such a strong word, but I really disliked how I looked. I disliked who I thought I was. But we're also talking about a like 11-year-old little girl, right? And girls are horrible at that age. I was bullied in the fifth. I was bullied as a kid. I was bullied because I was so-called fat. And so I didn't realize like your body changes so much, and you have to understand that everybody is not meant to look the same. Even now, I'm still like, oh my God, I need to lose weight, or I need to not eat this, and I need to not to do that. No, I need to be healthy. I need to be happy, and I need to be okay with how I look because I'm not supposed to look like anybody else. God made me to be me, and I didn't understand that as a kid. And I spent a lot of time with self doubt, even when people didn't realize it. And that's how depression works, right? You could be the happiest person in the room, um, and then you're not. And so I would tell my younger self to just, it gets better.
What's a life lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
People don't owe you anything. What you think someone owes you isn't isn't that. People have vows they get married that you think they owe you their whole entire life. They don't. They have their own life to live outside of just that union that y'all have created together. You think, this is my best friend. I don't want you to talk to so and so. Like, no, your friends deserve to have other friends. Um, your kid deserves to grow up and find out who they are and not who you think or thought they would be. Um, People don't owe you anything. You owe them the love and the respect that you will want in return.
What's the toughest conversation you've ever had to have?
Admitting that I've been wrong about something, and that I could have sworn up and down that I was just absolutely right. And then when the facts are presented and you're sitting there, you're like, well, I didn't know, and and you start making excuses. It's either you give that person the same respect that you want, and you admit that you're wrong about things, and you tell them that you're wrong. I think some of those and I can't really name just one because it's happened before because we're not perfect, right? And so admitting that, I was wrong on certain situations, um, and then apologizing, but also being okay with them not accepting my apology. That is probably the hardest thing for me, um, because like I said, people don't owe you anything, so they don't have to accept your apology. And I think that's the hardest thing for me, is that people aren't going to just say, okay, and then we're good now. And because once something happens, it's like once something's in the universe, you can't take it back. Um, Relationships change, and they're going to continuously change. Life is going to continuously go on. So
My last question. What is the best part of being you?
that I'm continuously changing, and I'm okay with that now. That I know that I'm not the same person that I was 6 months ago. Um, and that life has so much more to offer. Like, there's places on earth that I haven't seen yet. There's food I haven't experienced yet. There's people that I haven't met yet. And being open to all of those experiences, not being scared anymore to say, I want something different. And I'm just ready for any and everything. Very much, very open to anything at all. I don't think nothing really shocks me anymore. I just say, okay, like, it makes the other person happy. It may not make me happy, and I may say like, I'm happy for you, but that ain't for me, but knowing that I'm more open to just what I've been taught, um, and that's okay.
Well, thank you. I want to say a special thank you to you. Were one of the few people that I shared my episode with when I first started,
Mhm.
and you sent me one of the nicest texts I've ever gotten. And I bawled my eyes out on the bathroom floor for 30
Really?
minutes reading that.
Oh, bro. I mean, you are an amazing person. And it's so crazy because at first it's not that I didn't think we were going to be friends, but I didn't think we were going to be like as close like as we were because didn't have a lot of friends at the time and I didn't, and so I'm like, oh, I have a little bro now, like, like, and I always just appreciate you for being you and you just being honest. And then you telling me about myself from time to time. You do it all the time. But that's what little brothers are for, right? And so I'm always here.
All right. All right. You know what time it is. It's ad time. Today's episode is in partnership with Daily Jam, the show's first partner. Daily Jam is my personal music playlist project. Currently, we are on year 7 of doing this. Daily Jam 7. The way it works is I add one new song every single day, 365 days a year, 366 on leap years, with no repeats. The standard for the songs is in the name. Every song, I believe, is good enough to be played on repeat all day long. My personal daily jam. Humbly and respectfully, I have incredible music taste. So if you want to listen to the playlist or are just curious what type of music I like to listen to, check the link in the description to listen to any Daily Jam playlist. I guarantee you will find songs you love and gems you've never heard before. Thank you to Daily Jam for being a partner of today's episode.